Beabadoobee. From bedroom artist to touring with Taylor Swift, Beabadoobee has had quite the journey, and you've probably also heard her breakout song, Coffee. Bee has a new album coming out in August, so I thought now would be an ample time to take a look at her journey so far. But with that said, I think we should just get straight into it, so subscribe and let's take a look at her early days. Weirdly, Beabadoobee's breakout hit was her first song, Coffee. Long story short, she uploaded the song without any real expectations, then got signed. A few years later, Palfu sampled Coffee in his song Deathbed, which blew up massively. The original song is quite a good representation of Bee's early sound in my opinion, just a voice and guitar, and just overall has quite a small dynamic range. After Coffee, Bee released her first EP, RISE, and of the 4 songs on it, I think Spacing Out is my favourite. It matches my previous description of her early sound, and is one of the few songs that I knew before researching for this video. Here's a screenshot of it on my playlist from June 23, when I went to France on a school trip, and it was on my France Way 1 journey playlist. Anyway, moving on, Bee's second project was called Patched Up. Spotify says it's an album, but most other things call it an EP, so that's what I'm going to go with. It's because it's 7 songs, so it's a bit of a grey area between album and EP, because it's a bit long for an EP and a bit short for an album. To my knowledge, it's Bee's last project before she got a proper band, and I think it's quite good. I like the opening song Everest, and it fits my description once again of her early sound. 'Cause even if your eyes are black, your bones are always gold. For a bit of context into her early life, and I apologise for my pronunciation in advance, Beatrice Christie J. Laus is a British Filipino singer-songwriter who moved from the Philippines to London at age 3. She got kicked out of school for slipping grades, and the story goes that after this, her father bought her a guitar to cheer her up. Her first song, Coffee, which I mentioned in the intro, gained the attention of a relatively small record label called Dirty Hit, who signed her. Anyway, after Patched Up, Bee's sound developed significantly. Her third project, Loveworm, is where her music becomes much more polished. Throughout this video, I'm going to identify 10 or so of Beabadoobee's greatest hits, according to yours truly, and Loveworm houses the first of these, in Apple Cider. We both like apple cider. I've seen a lot of people whose nostalgia for the 90s has been triggered by Bee's music, and whilst I don't have any memories from then, for I was yet to be born, I'd have to agree that Bee, especially Apple Cider, sounds straight from the 90s. There are 2 notable songs on this EP in my opinion. I Wish I Was Stephen Malkman, and also She Plays Bass, a song about her bassist Eliana. She plays bass, she plays bass. Anyway, right after this is when Beabadoobee blew up in 2020, with Palfu's remix of Coffee titled Deathbed. It must be kind of annoying having your most popular song being a loop of one section of your very first song. On Bee's wiki, she's quoted saying, "I'm not going to lie, it was overwhelming. I kind of hated it. I hated more people knowing about the first song I'd ever written and not my others. I was so stubborn, but I grew into it and accepted that that's just how life works. I was extremely grateful for its existence, and it's only given me more opportunities." Now to the section of the video that I've been looking forward to the most, Fake It Flower. I absolutely love this album. It's packed with bangers. Let's take a look at the opening track, Care. This song is a great way to open the album. It's got a lovely hook, and there's a few things to note music-wise. The bassist Eliana plays with a pick, as she does with a lot of the slightly heavier songs. Bee's guitar part is just chords, but she absolutely loves open tunings. I mean, it's rare to have a Beabadoobee song where the rhythm guitar isn't in an open tuning. She even acknowledges it in this clip.
Rare Beabadoobee song in standard.
Alright, so I'm going to try and best explain what I mean by the Beabadoobee chord. For me, this is something I noticed in a lot of her songs, and it is the 7 chord. So in the case of Care, that's the second chord of the chorus progression, which is... it's that A there, which in terms of a B scale is the 7th note. So it's not the major 7, it's the 7. By the way, I know this isn't the greatest angle, but I don't want to keep going like whoop, 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 whoop. So yeah, you're just going to have to get less of my hair. And she uses this in, I'm going to put a list on screen right now of all the songs that she uses this in, or all the ones I notice it in anyway. But anyway, yeah, that's a little breakdown of Care. Let's move on to the next two songs. The next two songs on the album are the most skippable in my opinion, but Worth It and Diet Red are still very good. By the way, if you want to leave your top 3 Beabadoobee songs in the comments, I'd love to hear your opinions, because I'm sure they're probably quite different from mine. Anyway, Back to Mars, the next song, is the shortest on the album, and it breaks it up, being acoustic.
Take me to the south of France.
A good album will have a bunch of good songs, but for me, a great album will have those songs arranged in a way which complement each other. Songs like Back to Mars make the album feel less repetitive, but still give it a consistent sound, which is a great thing. Also, before we get through the rest of this album, I'd just like to thank you if you've got this far and encourage you to subscribe, as any YouTuber would. We're on our way to 1,000, so it'd really help out. And also, more importantly, I've got a song out that's been out for about a month. It's called Slashes by Isaac Lacey on all good streaming platforms. And the reason I make these videos is so that hopefully I get more ears on my music. So I'd really appreciate it if you go and check that out. But anyway, back to Fake It Flowers. After Back to Mars, you get 3 equally interesting songs. Charlie Brown, Emo Song, and Sorry. Charlie Brown is really interesting. It almost reminds me of metal or something, but with B's voice instead of someone screaming. Sorry to any avid metal enjoyers like my friend Dimitri. It starts like any other of B's songs. A guitar chugging in an open tuning, some subtle bass, drums and guitar. But then we get into the metal sound that I was referring to. Emo Song is a bit of a vibe, it's a bit slower, it's a bit less immediate, but I quite like it that way. The main thing I have to say about it really is, again, B's in an open tuning, as she usually is, and the guitarist is playing some really interesting, like reverby ambient parts that I really like. Also, just for reference, if you do want to go check out the video I keep referencing, it's called Fake It Flowers Live, #livestream. It's brilliant. It's the whole album all the way through, played live in a really cool looking room with loads of flowers everywhere. Yeah, it's really, really good. So if you want to go check that out, please do. Sorry is my second favourite, if not my favourite song on the album. To be honest, it's probably my favourite Beabadoobee song. It's just very, very good. It's quite unusual. It's a bit more dissonant. It's quite edgy in a way. It's a little bit Nirvana-y in places, if you will, with some of the bends and stuff. But it's just brilliant. I really, really like it. It starts with just a kind of slightly crunchy sounding guitar and B's voice, and then you get the build. It starts building up a little bit, and then you just get bang, everything comes in, and then it comes down again, and then you get bang, everything's in again, and it's just really great. I absolutely love it. Then again, we've got 2 other songs which I find less interesting, Further Away and Her and Saracen, which they're both kind of, yeah, they're again, they'd be on the lower half of my album ranking. But then we've got my favourite Beabadoobee song, I think. That or Sorry, one of the 2, and it's called How Was Your Day?
How was your day?
So How Was Your Day is in open D, but unlike a lot of Beabadoobee songs, I think it utilises the open tuning really well and does things that wouldn't be possible in a normal standard tuning, compared to some songs they just have chords that are just a bit easier to play. But with How Was Your Day, you get this really nice movement, and most of the verse is just going around a D chord, just going, and kind of just moving up and down. And the performance is brilliant on the Fake It Flowers stream, apart from, and it's a minor slip up, but at the end she goes to the wrong chord and she does a little smile.
The thing that I know is that
The last two songs on the album is pretty good as well. Are pretty good as well. Jeez, what's happened to my English? They're Together and Yoshima Forest Magdalene. Just put a light on because it was getting dark, but yeah, also I forgot that I was making a list, my like top 10 or whatever, Beabadoobee hits or whatever. If I could say, if it was just my list, that whole list would probably be off Fake It Flowers. But because I'm also taking into account the popularity of the song, these are meant to be her greatest hits that most people know, I'm only going to pick a few off Fake It Flowers. So things like Sorry and How Was Your Day I'd probably exclude, even though they're great songs. So I'm just going to take 3. Care, Together and Worth It would be the 3 that I'd pick off Fake It Flowers to go into that list. Now we've got 4, remembering Apple Cider as well. The next EP, called Our Extended Play, houses the next greatest hit, which is Cologne, which honestly is just, I mean, completely different from anything she's done before, but it's really, really good. I don't want this video to get too repetitive, but I'm just gonna play a little section of Cologne now. You probably know it, but there's a great guitar solo, just like a almost anti-solo kind of Radiohead type thing that's really nice. And live they do a really cool halftime ending, which I really like. Now onto the meats, onto the juices. We've got the drummer beef. So the band consists of B, Eliana, and the guitarist who's very, very clever, Jacob, and I mean that in terms of his guitar playing. But yeah, those 3 are the core members of the band, and I'll talk about Jacob in a little bit. But the drummer in Fake It Flowers, the drummer I believe is called Lewis. Now Lewis has a mohawk, and that's not to say that he's a bad person. But I'm not interested in going into B's personal life and looking, oh, she's broken up with so-and-so or whatever. I don't care about that. I'm interested in the music and how personal relationships has affected the music. That's really where I'm trying to look into. But what I believe happened is there was a drummer called Lewis who drummed for Fake It Flowers, and then he fell out with B and the band, I think, and the guitarist Jacob announced this on a live stream, and B didn't acknowledge it for a little while, I think, and then they got a new drummer who is called Luca, who has been playing with them from Our Extended Play, Cologne, to now, to the present day. People were bad-mouthing B on Reddit, saying, oh, she's not doing this, she's not doing that. I don't really care, personally. I think it's a bit silly, but yeah, just good to note that the drummer, they haven't really had a permanent drummer just yet, but Luca seems like he's going towards it. But anyway, now on to B's latest album, Beatopia. The start of the album is extravagant, to say the least. The title of the first song is Beatopia Cult Song. It's kind of nice. It's not for me personally. There's a song that I think does a similar thing much better later on in the album than this song. It feels not silly, but it's just a bit unserious, and I quite like how serious Fake It Flowers was. But with that said, it's an interesting idea, and it makes a statement as an album opener. Definitely not as good as Care for an opening, in my opinion. But yeah, and then we've got 1036. 1036 is a much more poppy, much more commercial... Oh shit, I've just hit my guitar. 1036 is a much more commercial song than Beatopia Cult Song, and I think I prefer it, to be honest. Maybe I'm boring. I really like Ripples. It's a really nice acoustic song that goes slightly back to her roots of Patched Up. It slightly goes back there, but it's really nice, it's really peaceful, it's quite emotional. It's got some really nice strings.
You can't blame the reflections and the ripples on the ground.
And it's almost a teller of what's to come with songs like The Way Things Go. It's kind of a bit like that. And then you've got The Perfect Pair, which is her most famous song off this album. and one of her most famous songs, apart from Coffee. I think it is her most famous song. And it's like a bossa nova type thing. It's popular for a reason, obviously. There's not much more to say on that. Talk goes back to the sound of Fake It Flowers, and you could probably already tell that I quite like it that way. When I was asking some people for this video what their favourite Beabadoobee song was, this song came up a lot. I'm just going to put them right now into the greatest hits list. We're going to add Talk, we're going to add Perfect Pair, and we're going to add Ripples. And I've got 2 more songs left to talk about, the first of which being Pictures of Us, which in my opinion does what Beatopia Cult Song does much better. It's kind of an instrumental for quite a while with just little fragments of voice and a little chorus, I guess, at the end. I'm pretty sure it's got the guitarist Jacob singing on as well. One of the things that I think could make Be even better live is having more voices. If they all sung and did like some crazy harmonies, that would be incredible. I think that's the only thing that slightly maybe holds her back live, but you know, it's modern days, you've got a backing track that you can just put in of her 10 times, so it's not really an issue. So from what I can tell, and this could be very wrong, but this is a duet with, I know it's a duet, but it's a duet with someone I believe to be called Jack Stedman. They're credited as a writer in the description of the song, and they're not credited in any of the other songs, so I'm going to presume that they're the other singer. The verse isn't just chords, it's more of a riff, it's a tinkly riff, so it's a nice one to, in my books the album's over by now. The other 2 songs are, you know, I don't really, if you couldn't tell, I'm not a massive fan of this album, to be honest. I don't think it works as well as Fake It Flowers. I'm hopeful for the new album though, which is coming out soon, which is what I'm going to move on to now. So, as of 2 hours ago, Beabadoobee has released a single, Ever Seen. But before I talk about that, I just want to briefly mention the first 2 singles that were released, starting with Take a Bite. This is possibly the best Beabadoobee song I've ever heard. It's very, very well written, and I've shown this clip before in this video, but it's a rare Beabadoobee song where she is in standard tuning.
Rare Beabadoobee song in standard. It's then.
So I've tuned my guitar into normal tuning, and I'm going to give a guitar tutorial on this song because there's a little Beabadoobee tutorial online of her and she gets her own chords wrong. I think this is because it's maybe an early draft of the song and it's not been finalised yet. That's the only thing I can think of. So Beabadoobee, she's got that all right, but I'm 100% sure that the second chord of the chorus she's put is wrong. This is her thing. It sounds fine. I wanted to see the world in colour. What I don't agree with is the second chord. She's gone down to something over a D, and in the recorded version it's definitely a C sharp. So it's definitely I wanted to see, which is more dissonant, but it is, I'm sure it's a C sharp. That's a brief tutorial. I don't want to waffle too much because most of you probably aren't watching this looking for a guitar tutorial. Anyway, the next song she released after Take a Bite was called Coming Home, which I don't like at all. I'm being quite blunt with my opinions on B's later music, and that's just the way it is. The way things go. I skipped that out, sorry guys. My camera keeps being funny, I don't know why, sorry. Okay, so I don't really have a problem with this song as it is. But what I don't like is how her vocals have been produced. I'm pretty sure they're double tracked, and I don't like what they've done to it at all.
You do the dishes, I'll carry the load to make up lost time.
It's almost like there's some sort of chorus on her vocal, which I really don't like. I think it's almost done her dirty. I like it much better when it's just her playing it live. There's 3 singles as of recording. There's Take a Bite, which is up here, brilliant, 10 out of 10, great song. Then there's Coming Home, which I'd give like a 6. It's a pretty average Beabadoobee song. Still very good. I rate it, but I don't like what they've done to the vocals, as I've said. And then you get Everseen, which has just come out, so it hasn't had time to fully, properly marinate in my mind yet. It's still very fresh. I've heard it twice. But I think it's better than Coming Home, for sure. I prefer the tracks that are a bit more built up with drums and stuff, and this is more acoustic-y and vibey. But I still like it. I think it's better than Coming Home. I like her vocals in it. But yeah, the new stuff is very promising, and I'm actually going to see Beabadoobee live in October. So I think once I've gone to that, I've seen her live, and I'll give a live and album review, make a second video if this one does well around that time. So I guess you can look forward or not to that. But it's terrible. It's just a phone. I need a new camera, bro. Buy my Patreon so I can get a new camera. Sorry this video's been a bit of a mess, to be honest. I wrote half the script, couldn't be asked, and then kind of just improvised like an album and a bit. So sorry for that. So I'll give you a brief idea of my song. So my song, I had this chord progression for a while. Which I quite liked, and I was like, maybe I can use that. And by the way, I've already made the song, recorded it all. So I'm kind of commenting back now. But in reflection, I could have used an open tuning. That would have made it sound more like Beabadoobee. And I used this chord, which is just a bit too, in my opinion. But I think I made it okay, and I think you'll be able to see how it sounds like Beabadoobee. But anyway, if you have enjoyed and you've made it through this slight shambles of video, then appreciate listening to my song and subscribing and buying my Patreon. That'll be sick. It's like £5 a month. That's ridiculous for one thing as well. And if people buy it, I'll put more stuff on it, like bloopers of me messing up my script and stuff. That'll be really funny, right? So go check that out. And with that said, here's my song. I'm tired of feeling this way. Can you notice me? I'm wandering aimlessly, and now I'm hanging around